Welcome to Self Paranormal Investigations Podcast. Thanks for joining.
Hey everyone, how are you guys doing out there? Sorry we haven't been on in a while. We've been busy. We keep saying we're going to do a podcast, and we have these wonderful little hiccups that happen, and so we've decided that we're doing Phone Call from the Other Side for Halloween. And Dixie's got some stories about weird phone calls and just the other day. Just the other day on the bus.
I don't know that we could really tell that one.
Oh, well.
Maybe. Synchronicities.
Yeah, synchronicities. Dean was out in Missouri. He had just started with Self Paranormal when we were in the old Pollock Funeral Home, and we were doing our first Facebook Live, which was amazing that we got it up and running the way we did, because it was all done through cell phone, hotspot, and some pretty cheap programs, but they worked.
Wasn't it like a year ago when we did this podcast
for PBN?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a year.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
So, but I'm not sure where we want to start. Do we want to start with some of our stories of stuff?
You guys are the ones that experienced the call from the other side. We might as well just go with that.
Okay.
Disconnected.
Not sure what disconnected now, but the ghosts are playing.
Probably disconnected me.
Oh, maybe. I do have one, a personal story here that I want to make a short thing about it now. We can do another on it later, but my friend Bob, his brother had passed away, and a year to the day, which it would be, just got goosebumps, October 29th.
Disconnected.
He had passed away, and we ended up, I was at work, and he come in over at the store, and he had his cordless phone from his house, and he had tears in his eyes, and he said, "James just called me." And I said, "What?" I said, "What do you mean James just called you? You know, been a year today, dude." And he starts crying even harder, and he puts the cordless phone down and says, "Look at the caller ID." And it said James Mounts, I think it was 82484, 5353 or something like that. And sure enough, it said it.
8675309.
Yeah, 8675309. So I take the store phone, I pick it up, and I dial the number, and it says this number is disconnected or no longer in service. But it was that day's date. You know, it had the year, month, day, year on the caller ID, and his name and the phone number. So that was my first time of experiencing a phone call from the other side.
Well, so mine was Crystal. When she passed away, I totally forgot.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were having her memorial service, or like, I don't know, celebration of life. And she knew how to manipulate her stuff because we did an investigation at her house like 2 weeks before.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, and all of a sudden my phone flashlight, and it was several years ago. What was it, 10 years ago?
Yeah, I'd say 10.
8, 9, 10 years ago. So the older iPhone or whatever I had, you really had to open it up and turn the flashlight on by hand. And I didn't even know how to do that, I don't think. But it was, my phone was sitting there. And while we were talking about her, my flashlight just started going off on my phone. Just started going off. So who knows?
Yeah. And I remember you called us and we went down there.
Mm-hmm.
The restaurant that she was talking about is just, 3 blocks down the street.
Yeah.
So she called us. We went down there to, kind of check out her phone. Didn't do it for a little while, and then all of a sudden we're sitting there, and it started doing it.
I did it quite a few times.
Yeah, I could be wrong, but I didn't know about the, like saying knocks or whatever, and Siri would turn on the light, or if you double tap the back of your phone, the light coming on. I think
don't think it did it then.
No, I don't
at that
either.
Well, and I
time.
didn't even know who Siri was back then.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and not only that, but there was a band playing, wasn't there?
Yes,
if I remember
there was
right.
a lot of
Yes.
people.
There, so it couldn't have
Yeah.
been that it was. It could have heard anyone, you or
It
I.
almost
Or,
looked like the flashlight went with the beat of the music.
Yes, it
which
did.
You've had that happen before.
yes. So that was something that was really
Yeah,
kind of
we're like, wow, something's going on here. We were pretty sure it was her.
yes.
And then we have a friend, Tibble, talking about her brother that was shot. Had a little recording that he left a message to her after he passed.
Yes.
Remember we got that little snippet?
Yeah, and she sent that to me and asked me what I thought, or you
Like,
sent it to me. She
yeah.
asked you to send it to
Mhm.
me, and and it was after he had passed.
Yeah, and he left a message on her phone to
Yep.
her. And
Yep.
it come up after he had died.
Yeah, so there are lots of cases where that can happen. Now,
Well, don't forget the Estes Park one.
I was going to say, what
Those-
about the Stanley?
yeah, I think you remember that a little better than I
I
do.
wasn't
No, the
there.
one in the bathroom. We had a great time in the bathroom.
Oh,
Remember we got
oh
to
my
the-
God,
Things
that
for
one!
good
I
time
thought
in
you
the
meant with
bathroom.
the flag.
Oh, well, that
Of
I
Estes
was there,
Park.
yes.
We have a lot more phone calls from the other side.
I guess
than
we
can
do.
Um,
The Estes Park one was pretty powerful too, because you got that phone call on your, or message or whatever on your phone.
yeah, that was something that. Whoops, I'm trying to.
And our friends can actually look that video up.
Yes.
Yeah.
We had been investigating up there at the Stanley Hotel with Jason and Grant and Amy and Adam and everyone, and it was getting kind of crowded in some areas. So I said, why don't we go investigate in the bathrooms till these guys kind of clear out? So she's like, okay, sure. So we go in the bathrooms, and this couple that we ran into when we were at check-in, they were an older couple and very nice, but they didn't talk to anybody but us. And so we just started investigating, and they knocked on the door and asked if they could come in and join, and we said sure. I'm trying to remember. It's one of our Estes Park videos. I'm ashamed I
Thanks
can't
for
think of the
good
name.
time in the bathroom.
I didn't post it
Oh,
or
okay.
label it as that.
That's what we refer to it.
But anyway, so we go through this whole entire thing, and for them to be new investigators or first time to do this, they had some very awesome questions. I mean, very on point.
I
that-
had been thinking about it for a while.
yeah. And the question that she asked was, were you afraid to cross over? This is one of the questions that
She was
stuck
going
with
through
me.
cancer treatment, it sounds like.
Yeah, because she had a turban. She was wearing a turban. And then she asked, did it hurt when you crossed over? And the Frank's box was giving some answers to her questions. Now, once again, we didn't see him interact with anyone else or anything like that. Kind of a long story short, we get ready to leave, and we ran into him one last time. And they said, thank you for letting us join in and investigate. We said, sure, no problem. And we told him to be sure and look us up on the YouTube channel, and we could keep in contact. And we're headed back from Estes Park, and we're up on top of Rabbit Ears, and I get this text message, and I'm like, well, what the heck? And so I pull over, and I read this text message full on because I was, kind of texting and driving. I glanced to see who it was, didn't recognize the number, so I click on it, and then was like, so I pulled over, and I read it, and it says, thanks for the good time in the bathroom. You gave us what we needed to cross to continue on.
Disconnected.
And I was like, Dixie, look at this. And it just, the little snippet that you see in, the messages, it starts out, thanks for the good time in the bathroom. And she's like, what is that? And I'm like, I read it. And so she opens it and reads that. And so I said, I'm going to call and see who this is. So we hit the number and hit call. Disconnected, no longer in service.
Yeah.
I mean, totally crazy. And the only thing we could think of was that couple. Now, here's the weird thing. You can hear their voices, but you never see them on our cameras.
Never saw their faces.
Never. And where
Well, to be fair, I tried to stay out of the camera too.
But we still catch bits and
Yeah,
pieces of each
uh-huh.
other, but we
Yeah.
never caught anything of them. The only thing we have is their questions, their voices.
That's very odd.
And then, but you gave
I
us
don't know
what
their names.
we needed. Did they ever give us their
I don't
names?
think so.
It was just, hey, how are you? And
Hang out with you?
the 3 days, they never changed clothes. They were always in the same clothes. So, yeah.
Didn't you say they were kind of pale, grayish looking?
Yeah, they were pale.
No, she was ill.
Yeah. I think that, I wonder if
I
they
felt like
both were not ill.
Yeah, there was something going on there. I'm not sure. But we thought they were time travelers or something. But then,
Yeah, we had several theories on that,
I don't
and
know.
we've never heard from them on any of the videos, not that video that we posted, nothing. And it's something that just kind of always makes me wonder, did they cross over when they found out that
Yeah.
it didn't hurt?
Yeah.
And they weren't afraid to cross over. Kind of makes me a little bit weepy. I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
And we've talked about their story several times.
yeah, we have. So talking about the time that we were all up there, do you want to tell about that, or?
Well, Les and I, we did a little overnight trip up to the Stanley, and we were going to do just a little investigation with us. And as we're walking around with our equipment and everything, we got a couple more people interested, and then a couple more people. Well, one of them was a mother and daughter. And as we're talking to the spirits and getting answers and everything, the mother of this mother and daughter team there, her phone goes off, and she looks at it, and she turns it towards her daughter and says, "Do you know this number?" And daughter says no. And I kind of looked and I said, "Oh, is somebody, kind of pranking you or whatever, And she goes, "I don't know." She said, "It's a
Disconnected.
picture of the flag." And I'm like, "Oh." And she goes, "But," she said, "I don't know the number." And I said, "What's the prefix to it?" And she gave me the prefix. I looked it up, and I think it was, Wyoming or Montana? Or
It was a Wyoming number.
Wyoming. And she goes, "I don't know anybody in Wyoming." And the daughter's like, "I don't know anybody in Wyoming. I don't know what." And I'm like, "Well," I said, "somebody
Disconnected.
knows you." She goes, "But why would they send me a picture of the flag?" And this other gentleman that had joined, he kind of popped his head over and looked at it, and he goes, "Well, that's the flag downstairs above the door,
In the shadow box.
in the shadow box above the door." And she goes, "Oh, no, wait." And she scrolls through her contacts on her phone, and she said, "I know who the number is." But she goes, "This is impossible." And I'm like, "What?" And she goes, "That was my great-grandfather
Yeah.
who passed away like 5 years previous. And the flag came through from his number to hers."
The picture of the flag, and
Yeah,
the thing
the
is
picture.
it was in a shadow box above the fireplace.
Disconnected.
Oh, that's where
It
it
was-
got the door of the
It was
fireplace,
between the
that's
two big doorways, is what you were
it.
thinking.
Oh, okay.
But and it was her daughter that still had the great grandfather's number
No, well, I
in the
knew
phone.
one of them still had it.
Yeah. But so the great granddaughter showed what it was listed in her phone as. And then, so her mom said, well, she'd taken it out. It was no longer needed. So we go downstairs, and it was a current picture because they'd kind of redone stuff in there.
Mhm.
They had put the carpet in because before it was hardwood floors. So I
Right.
wondered if this was an old picture that somebody had sent and everything. But still, when we called that number, because I called the number
Yeah.
right then, it was disconnected.
It was disconnected.
So it couldn't have been that they had somebody do it, and this literally you called. It wasn't like a voicemail. Someone would record it. It just you called. It went straight to this is
Do you
disconnected.
think he was hanging around there and did something with the phone to show
Yeah.
that flag? Because I'm here.
Yep.
With you.
Right.
Yeah, and the family had donated
And
that
I was going to
up
say
there.
he donated it to the Stanley Hotel.
Well, he asked for it to be donated, and they followed his
Yeah,
wishes.
yeah.
Because he loved being up there. It was
Oh,
so
okay.
peaceful. He went up there all the time whenever they had a chance for as long as the daughter, well, his granddaughter, I guess it would have been.
Yeah.
As far as the granddaughter could remember, that's where his grandparents went for weekends. For
Well, was it he treated there?
no,
Oh, okay.
no, but it was.
It was the TB
But
hospital, but I thought
it
he
was
treated.
no, it was every time they had a chance, they would go up there and do that.
Okay.
And so it was something that meant so much to him. So it was kind of cool that something so patriotic and meant so much to them had come
Right.
through, and it was like validation, I think, that you guys did the right thing.
Yeah.
Cool.
And kind of like a thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like a thank you.
Yeah.
Of course, now this isn't a phone call, but
Text
it's
message.
well, no, I was meaning the next thing.
Oh, sorry.
This one isn't a phone call or anything, but Dixie had gone up for me when Dad died, because the day I was supposed to go up to the Stanley, Dixie and I were going to go up there and investigate with Jason and Grant and Amy, and my dad passed away, so I didn't end up going. And Dixie went up there, and about 2:30 the next morning, they had something come across the Frank's box that said, "Les, are you here?" And Amy asked, "Is there Les here?" And Dixie raised her hand, and she said, "You're Les." She goes, "No, I'm here for Les. He couldn't make it." It said, "You have 3 of his things."
Yep.
She had my camcorder, my voice recorder, and my K2 meter.
And Amy was very surprised. What is happening?
Yeah, I mean, totally just in shock. And so then fast forward 6 years, and we're up there, and we're investigating with Carl Pfeiffer, wasn't it? Yeah, and we were in the employee passageway, and there was a new investigator there, and she was being very, very overzealous, and it said the Franks or the Ovulus. This time it was the Ovulus, and it said Hugh, and then she started talking, and then it said Hugh, and she started talking, and so I said, "Excuse me," I said, "Could you be quiet for a minute?" I said, not to be rude or anything, but my dad's name was Hugh, and I said, "You keep talking after that," and she goes, "Are we annoying you?" It says, "Hell yes, go away." And now
You're annoying.
you're annoying. My dad would have, he was a nice guy, but he spoke his mind. And so then after, "Hell yes, go away, you're annoying," it says, "Hugh," and a pause. "Self, we're all right." And I just looked at Dixie, and I had to give her the camera, and I had to step aside. A bittersweet message. I mean, it's how awesome to hear that, but just at that time was a little bit emotionally overwhelming. But I still watch that video and kind of cry. It's like
Find it on YouTube.
there. Yeah, it's on YouTube. Our Stanley Hotel.
Go away, you're annoying. Isn't that what you're calling it?
I think it was "Go Away, You're Annoying," and I'll say it was 2013.
Gosh, I don't know.
2013 or 2015. Anyway, you're annoying. But another really good one to watch there. The people, I think if you just kind of listen and
I
communicate.
think we've missed a lot of stuff because we just are like not paying attention. And
Well-
we're on to this stuff. So
Yeah. Now, before we started doing live down there at the Pollock Funeral Home out in Missouri, we would just go in and investigate. It was a great place to train people. I mean, I wish I could find another place like that. But we were in there investigating, and our family was very good friends with the Pollocks that had ran it. And so we just asked, "Ralph, Trudy, are you here?" Other people, the Christies that used to run it before the Pollocks did. And so we were in there, and I said, "Ralph Pollock, are you here?" And didn't get a response right then, but then something come across the Frank's box, And then all these years later, we're talking like 12 years later, I'm just listening to it, and you can hear the outgoing call. It wasn't an incoming call, it was an outgoing call. And I'm like, wait a minute. So I called my sister, and I isolated that area. I said, what does this sound like to you? And I played it for her, and she goes, well, it sounds like the phones in Missouri when you would go to call somebody, the outgoing call signal. And I was like, exactly. I said, and it's in the funeral home right next to the embalming room where, 3 years later is when we had phone calls coming in, and we have pictures. I should have downloaded those. I will be able to put those at the end of this video. We have pictures of the pedestal outside of the mortuary. The wires are cut. Then you go inside the mortuary into the basement. Now, we were down there 3 nights after we recorded the phone calls from the other side, because there was a tornado in town. The storm shelter was too hard for Mom to get into. Since we had the keys, we drove into the alley, and she just had to go down 2 tiny stairs. And when I took a picture of her, right there, you could see the phone lines were cut up there. So they were not only cut on the inside, but they were cut on the outside of the building. No way it could have been a true incoming call, like wires crossed or the electric storm.
Right, and then we also checked around the phone, and the wire was cut up by the ceiling.
Well, and I'm pretty sure, I think that was the phone line, but they did have a bell that was hooked to the front door. So if somebody come in and they were the only ones there, so
it could have been
it could have been that one. So I can say for sure I know 2 areas that phone line. Whoops, I'm making the camera wiggle. 2 areas that the phone line was cut, possibly a third, but just absolutely amazing. The mortuary, the amount of things that would happen in there, and knowing our names. You'll see when I start playing these clips here, it likes to say, hi, Les, hi, Dean. And yeah, there's so many things. I'll go ahead and I'll get one of those scenes played here real quick. Here we go. Don't do technical difficulties on me.
Okay, is that better? All right, good. Thank you. Whoa. Wow. What was that? The phone in the... That sounded like the phone in the embalming room. Yes. Yes, all right.
See the flashlight come on to verify yes.
When we move the equipment in there, I'll show you. Should I go in there and answer it? Okay, I'm taking the voice recorder with me, and I'm going to go and see if I can hear the phone.
So I'm going to pause it there for just a second. I can't go back to the cameras or I'll lose this part of the scene. But that was something that was absolutely awesome that we caught that. Behind that curtain, there's a little doorway, and it led back to a hallway that went to the embalming room. And we, like I said, we just now were starting to do live. We had Sony handy cams, and not the handy cams, just a Sony camcorder system. Still had the VHS tapes. So these things are big. So in order for us to keep everything going, we had them mounted on tables so they didn't fall over if we hit them in the dark. I wished we could have taken one of the cameras back there to show. But I go back there, pick up the phone, and the phone's dead. And I thought, well, was that the sound we heard? So I take my fist and I beat on the side of the phone, and you'll probably hear that in a second. And you hear it, ba-doing. So it proves that was the phone.
Oh, here's someone on the phone. Did you take your flashlight? Yeah, I did. Okay. Wow. That gives you chills.
So there was that one where it actually had the phone ring. It happens again. But then we decide to try to do other things. We had a little child spirit there that was named Emily, and she would turn the flashlight on and off. You'll notice the flashlights are sitting up on that casket that's in the video there. And she would teach the other spirits how to use those flashlights. If someone, they would say can't or I don't know across the Frank's box, we'd say, Emily, could you help them with the flashlights? And what would she say? Yes.
Yes. Okay.
And well, you remember she would say yes, or
Yes.
sure. And so it was like, okay, let's go ahead and watch. And sure enough, they would turn the flashlights on. And then you would hear thank you in a voice that wasn't hers. It was an adult woman, a man, something. But she would teach them. So we decided to see if they would play ball. And we had one of those inflatable beach balls. And, well, I think it's in this next scene here.
You want to play ball now? Turn out the light. We'll play ball. Okay. Thank you. Thanks. Here we go. Can you push it back to me? Wow. Try a little more. Try hard, please. Push it back to him. You can use any of the energy in here to do it.
And there it said my name.
Alright. Cool. How many spirits are in here with us? Is there more than 100? Could you turn on the light if there's more than 100 spirits in here with us? Can you turn on the light if there's less than 100 spirits in here with us? Says you know that. Yes, you said that earlier, but I thought there might be more spirits. Emily, would you play ball a little bit only? Please. Push it back to me.
I love it. Push it. After I said push it back.
Do you like it when I call you Emmy?
Hey.
Alright. What if I put the ball up on the casket? Would you like that? Hey, Bravery. I got you a cool little green light. Did you say Leslie?
Yeah.
Hi, how are you? It's been a couple of nights since you called my name. Ah, yes. Thank you. Do you want me to play ball with you again? If you do, turn out that light and I'll come over and try to play ball again before I get the laser grid.
So this was just the best because you could see we would say something and it interacted. This was not happenstance. This was, it'll have a green light, and then push the ball. It says push it. It's very interactive, very intelligent,
You
and
guys practice being there a lot.
yes. Then it was so awesome. Got to thank Century 21 Realty up there for letting us use the building. Mark was an absolute awesome guy. He believed in the paranormal. Well, first he kind of did, not really. And then the more that he watched our videos, he's like, well, there is something there. But in return, if anyone ever wanted to go look at the building and prospects of buying it, we just had to go let him in. So many cool things. My uncle, Gary, he never got to do a big professional investigation until I think it was his 80th birthday. And he was there in La Plata. It was during the soybean festival. So we decided, he said, you know what would make the best birthday I ever had? I said, what's that? He said, to go do an investigation. He says, your dad and I growing up and all of us kids, we would do stuff, but he says, we didn't have equipment and everyone told us it was our imagination. So we go down there, we walk in, it says his name. Okay. Well, of course, half of our family's funerals have been through the building. So, but I thought his grin was never going to go away. He was grinning ear to ear and he says, I'll be. He enjoyed that so much. And he told me, he said, this really was the best birthday I ever had. Yeah, I'll have to show you the video on Facebook. But we went walking up the stairs. It said blood, bones. And I'm like, okay, how creepy. We're in an old mortuary and it says blood, bones. We get up in the living quarters and we put everything on all the equipment on the kitchen counter and we're standing there and it says, sit down. There was an old beat up futon in there. So we sit down. As soon as we sit down, it says comfortable. Very, very pronounced in its speaking. Sit down. Comfortable. And then he goes, they can see us. Why can't we see them? I have no idea. But it was really an awesome time. And I love watching that video. And I look at it and it's pretty crudely edited. Like I'm sure our video right now is not the best. But after all the troubles we've had, getting it going, at least we're getting a podcast out today. But I mean, it goes to show we have raw footage, and I like that we have the body cams now because we don't have to have the expense of the tapes. The tapes got very expensive for the camcorders.
Yeah, $40 a piece.
Yeah, they were up to $40 a piece, and you're not supposed to reuse a tape. So we still have all of the original tapes from the Stanley Hotel, from Capo Salon downtown here. Everything that we used to do that's on tape, I still have. But with the body cams, you erase over it. It's a digital card. But I liked the camera, the actual tape cameras, because you had proof. You're like, here, this is the original. And so, it's like, I don't know, pros and cons of them both. We'll go on to the next scene here because we'll probably need to watch time.
Hi. You want to play ball now? Turn out the light. Hi. Well, remember, we can't play full songs. Right. Why? Because Facebook won't let us do it. Sing for him, huh? me. Oh, the glow stick fell. Hi, Mom. Hi, Mom. Wow, I don't know who your mom is. Is she here with us? Can you make that flashlight go to the beat?
This is one of our favorite things to do. Get him to go to the beat.
His beating goes into the light, the music. They like this one. Can you guys see that? The flashlight's beating with the song. Cool. Well, it's really going now. It just said hi, Dean. Hi! It just said hi, Dean, when Dean walked in.
And there it is. The phone in the embalming room rings for the second time that night. And it was after we had walked back in, and it said, hi, Dean. Hi again, Leslie. It is like, okay, they're here. I so wished we could have taken the camera into that phone.
Right.
But it's still just amazing.
The phone just went off again. Did y'all hear that?
Really?
Yes, the phone just went off again.
Listen. Whoa. I just had every hair on my
So
Are you here in the mortuary mourning your child's death?
Disconnected.
Are you here in the mortuary mourning your child's death?
So you can hear this deep breathing, almost like it's a weeping, a crying of some sort. And we caught so many weird things that night, or I shouldn't say weird, very awesome things that night. And we kind of think it was someone related to Emily, wasn't it?
Yes.
Or was it the little boy spirit?
no, that one was we found out later that it was the mother of Emily whenever she passed.
That's right. Okay, that's right.
That's when we found out Emily's name.
Yeah, you're right. And then shortly after that, I had to go down and check on Mom. A storm was rolling in, and out there in northeast Missouri, a thunderstorm can change to a tornado real quick. Bad. So we went down to go check on Mom, but everyone said, well, don't turn off the equipment, leave it run. And so this is when it was just Dean and I down there. So we said, okay, we'll do that. We'll leave it on Facebook so then he could monitor it. So I just drive us 4 blocks to the house.
And then I was monitoring on my phone.
Yeah, and we're talking with Mom. And someone types in, said something just moved the camera. And Dean's like, the camera is moved. So he starts watching it, and then we hear footsteps. And I said, we locked the door, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we thought someone, broke in, went running down, into the building. And so we were like, holy crap, hop in the van, haul butt back down there. We go up, the door's locked. So I said, someone broke in the back door. That's got to be what it is. So we go in, headed to the back door. Back door's locked. No one was in the building. The ghosts moved the camera that night.
Yeah, the camera was facing forward, and then it turned to the right halfway, and it was facing the other wall.
Yep. And so then we do some more flashlight stuff, some K2 meter stuff, played music. They loved the music, especially the old songs.
Oh, yeah.
So I go outside to smoke, and it wasn't uncommon whenever they had a new police officer in town to wonder what we were doing. Did we have the rights to be in there? So I'm out there smoking, leaning against the pillar, looking at the police department, thinking, oh, that looks like a new officer. I bet he's going to come over here.
They had column pillars outside at the end of the sidewalk before he'd go to the street, so he wasn't even against the building. He's on the other side of the sidewalk against the pillar. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll have to try to find pictures and hopefully put either in this area of the video or I'll put it at the end. But then all of a sudden Dean comes running out and he's mad at me. And I'm like, what? I said, I'm just standing here smoking. And he's like, BS.
Granted, we're still live during this.
Yeah, go.
Okay, so I'm sitting there inside by myself, trying to come up with questions to ask and everything. And in my right ear, right behind me, and I was against the doors to go outside, that they brought the bodies through. And in my right ear, I hear, and so I'm waiting for people to finish asking questions or having me ask questions. I said, hold on, I'm going to go outside and I'm going to see what Les is doing. Just nonchalant. As soon as I get out of camera range, I run to that door. Damn you, Les!
And I was totally like, duh, what? I had no idea what had happened. You go back and you watch the camera footage. The funny thing is, all you hear is Dean. But he said it sounded...
It was evil growl.
There's a lot of them that walk up behind you and do that.
See, and that's just it.
But
I think
over the camera, it was Dean.
Yeah. But I think it's because it was in your ear and because of the way the camera was so far at that end of the room. Because then everyone wanted... we're about out of time here. Everyone wanted... me to be down there during the witching hour. So Dean said he would go down and be with Mom so that I could go down at 3:00. So I decided I would walk, not at 4 blocks, 3 blocks, whatever. And we left all the equipment in there. And I just had to have, I guess just my cell phone is all I needed. So anyway, I get to the corner of the square because out there the town is built around the square, and I hear someone, a female's voice, go, Leslie. Outside. Now, mind you, this is right before 3:00 in the morning, folks, and I'm like, what in the heck? And I look around.
The street.
And you don't have your equipment in there with you because it's all in the building.
Yeah, it's all in the building. I could have used my cell phone, but I was so caught off guard. Sure. And then it does it a second time, a little bit louder, same voice. Leslie. And I'm like, what? Who's there? Nothing. And I thought, okay, I've got to hurry up and get to the building so I can get everything turned on, get the cell phone tower or the hotspot going. And I go in the building. The door was locked when I walked up. I go in, I lock the door behind me. Now, mind you, this place had not had any utilities, no electricity, no phone or anything for a good 25 years.
Yeah.
So I'm in there. Had been in there a lot, family funerals. My grandfather worked there. We'd go down and see him. Knew the place pretty good, but all of a sudden, I could hear it sounded like the corduroy pants.
And somebody walking in corduroy.
And I thought, oh my gosh. Then I could hear the gravel on the concrete floor because the carpet had been taken out of the building. And I'm like, okay, there's someone else in here with me. So I turn on my cell phone, have that light. I'm looking all around. I might be late getting everything started, but I go upstairs to the living quarters and the casket room, and because back in the day, funeral homes used to sell furniture too. So, and this one was an ambulance service as well. So I go over to the area where they stored the caskets. There was no one there. I went to the area where they had furniture. There was no one there. So I go back down to the chapel, and I'm like, okay. And I get everything started. People are signing back in to the Facebook Live. We're kind of chatting. I'm sitting in the same area that Dean was. And this voice, so loud, so furious, said, "Get out!" And I remained calm for about 2 minutes, and I thought, how do I know that someone wasn't just hiding that I couldn't see? I thought I checked everywhere in there, so I said, "Well, folks, I was here through the witching hour. It looks like the cell phone signal's getting a little weak. I gotta go." And I went ahead and I turned on the flashlight, walked all the way back around that building, never found anybody, but I was like, as loud as it was, it had to have been a person, I was thinking. And you listen to it on the Facebook Live. Get out. Yeah, it was not that. I mean, I swear I could feel it around
Right.
it all.
At the cemetery up there at Hans Peak
Oh,
Cemetery.
yeah.
That person that come up behind you, it was way more drastic for you than I thought. And I was standing right there.
I know, and I'm sitting there going, you know, I had the camera.
We need to go now.
We need to go
You're like,
now.
this guy means business, dude. I'm like, what?
Yes, you need to go now. And I'm sitting there, I mean, you actually
You were
see me
scared.
move the camera.
Yep.
Who? What?
Yeah.
It's like, nope, no one's there. Okay, time to go.
Means business, dude.
This is why we should always wear depends on investigations,
I know,
because
right?
sometimes we might have to go now. But yeah, we've had some really interesting things in cemeteries and mortuaries and businesses.
The live, I mean, in your head, in your
Ear,
ear
yeah.
is way more dramatic than it is caught on the camera.
Yeah.
Right. I
Seems
mean,
to be
and it was
consistently-
a
That's
deep,
different.
deep, growly voice. And it's like,
No.
okay, and as I said, you know, the door was right here, so it's like, Les is playing a prank on me, you know.
Yeah, it's
like,
about as
Thanks
far
a
as
lot.
he is from the fireplace is about the
Right.
space that there would have been from the door. But and the officer was out there, and I said, "Don't you think if I would have done that, that officer would have been right over here? Like, what are you doing out here? This is, late at night."
right.
And which I want to say, the police department there is awesome, because for them to be able to watch the town and think, "Oh, that's not right," I just want to say thank you guys for always doing a good job.
Yeah.
And let's tell another story real quick. We got a few minutes. So this was a week or two after when we ended up having the block party. So La Plata is the town of 1,380 people, kind of a smaller town. And we went down, and everyone in town had kind of heard that we were going down. So Kelly wanted to go, the neighbor, and then her sister wanted to go, and then her cousin wanted to go.
And niece and
Yeah. So
yeah.
everyone started wanting to come along. So I finally said we would have a night where we could do that and, just have the public come in.
And of course, the ones that went, I'm going to say probably 95% of them all had someone close that had passed.
Oh, yeah.
And,
Most of
I
them
mean, like brother, sister, niece, nephew, it was like close
Everybody there
family.
was
And so
Related.
everybody was wanting to connect with somebody.
So they ended up and now mind you, this is the summertime. This is a concrete brick building, hot, 95 and 100 degrees, depending on what part of the building you're in the middle of the night. This thing, and out there, they call it cooling down when it goes to 85 degrees at night. So the building is just baking. So they had coolers that they had beer and wine and all sorts of stuff in. So I had went out to smoke and to cool off because it was cooler outside. And I'm smoking, and up walks this officer, and he's like, he says, "Hey, what are you doing in there?" And I said, we were doing a paranormal investigation. And he goes, "Well, first of all, do you have the rights to be in there?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "I do." And the owner had gave me a paper that gave us, cause to be in there. So I let him see that, and he goes, "Well, I'd kind of like to see what you're doing." And I'm like, "Okay."
So up to this point, it had been very, very, very active. Flashlights, K2, Frank's box, everything is active. And so, go ahead.
No, and I was going to say, so I'm like, okay. And I thought, could we get in trouble because this is a public place? Would this be like drinking in public, publican talks. So as we're walking in, I send a text to Dean thinking, God, I hope he gets this. So he sees it and he's like, you guys hide your beers, hide your alcohol.
Disconnected.
So everyone's like in there, they have lawn chairs and they're sticking it in behind their back. They're sitting against the wall. They're doing all this, and this officer walks in. The flashlights on top of the casket were on when I walked up. As he walked in, those flashlights, all three of them went off. And the Frank's box just went to static. And so we were everyone's like, oh yeah, the flashlights turn on and off. There's people coming across. I think, what was it, Angie? I think my aunt just come across there. And so we're all saying this, and he's like, oh, well, do something. So I'm like, Emily, turn on the flashlight. And I'm like,
Dad.
Yeah, Grandpa Chatty, turn on the flashlight, please. Hey, somebody do something. So after like 4 minutes of beseeching the spirits to do something, no one would do anything. The officer kind of puts his hand close to the gun, and he starts backing out. He backs out, and he goes, you guys be safe, and you have a good night. We'll see you later. The moment he went through that front door across the Frank's box, it goes, ha, 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 ha.
Gotcha.
Yeah, gotcha. It said gotcha. And then all the flashlights come on. Everything started working.
Everything started
So
right back.
I just got goosebumps
me
about
too.
that.
Yeah.
So what? Did he see something or hear something? That he's
No,
like,
he just
"I'm
thought we
out"?
were crazy.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
we're all swearing that this stuff is going on. We're like, oh yeah, the flashlight does it. And there's voices. And 4 minutes, and he's like, okay, these guys are weird. I'm just going to leave.
Murder here, and
Yeah.
they're all going to get me. And
So went back and locked the door after he left. But it was busy the rest of the night. Absolutely
Yeah.
it's like he wasn't
everything.
one of you guys. So
Yep.
I mean, just as soon as we walked in and started setting things, I mean, just bam, 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 and it was answering questions, and this guy comes in, this officer comes in, quiet, just,
and that's
then
typical of a lot
and
of
then as
situations
soon
with
as
them,
he
huh?
he did, he kind of does like this, puts his hand on his
Kids
hip,
at a party.
his gun, walks backwards. Oh, y'all have a nice night, y'all. As soon as he goes out the door, starts laughing, flashlights going off, K2 went off, Frank's box going, ha ha ha, gotcha.
Disconnected.
Yep. So, well, we're going to go ahead and we're going to call this a show for now. Before we go, I do want to say, since this is going to be our show for Halloween, just want to say that today my mom and dad would have been married, or not today, but on Halloween, mom and dad would have been married 73 years. So dedicate this show to mom and dad, and hope you guys all return for our next podcast. We're going to make sure that we do them a lot more frequent. Don't know if it'll be every week, but we're going to give it a shot. So even if it's just a short one, but we have so many stories that we talk about. We need to start writing them down, typing them on our phone. That way we know what to talk about. Because sometimes we sit here and we're like, what were we going to do?
About it earlier, I'm like, wow, and I was excited, and now I'm like, what are we talking about?
So,
yeah, we gotta take notes.
but anyway,
Y'all have a good night.
yep. Happy Halloween to you guys,
Yep, happy
and
Halloween.
we'll see you soon.